So, welcome back to another episode of Leaders in Conversation with Nomazibulo Changa. Today, I'll be talking you through how I climbed the corporate ladder, which are some of the lessons that our guest will be tackling and talking about once we get to invite them. So I hope that this episode will be interesting, knowledge-filling for you so that you can take something out of it. So I will be talking to you about how I climbed the corporate ladder. As you may have heard in the previous episode, where I mentioned that I started as an HR graduate at Coca-Cola, and my last position was that of an HR director at Bidvest Steiner. So a lot of people have been asking me, how did I make it? How did I climb the corporate ladder? What are the challenges that I had experienced? What are the successes that I have encountered during my time in corporate? And this episode is about unpacking how I did it, and I hope that you can take some of the lesson and implement in your career so that your journey can be easier than how I walked my journey. So I started working in 2006 as an HR graduate employed by Coca-Cola, with the mentality that I have just graduated with a degree in human resources. Little did I know that when I get to corporate, it's going to be totally different than what I had experienced and than what I have learned in varsity when it comes to theory. Because we have a perception, and I guess we did not have the mentors, the coaches, the sponsors to support us and guide us and really tell us the realities of corporate South Africa. So when I got to corporate, my immediate thing was that within 2 years, I'm going to be an HR manager. Within 3 years or 4 years, and then I was going to jump to become an HR executive. It actually took me about 11 years to become an HR director. How did that happen? Did it mean that I was slow? Did it mean that I did not have ambition enough? I did not have the drive enough, etc.? And I can safely tell you that it really didn't mean so. Because even during my time, I've got a lot of colleagues that I've worked with that are still stuck in positions that are of senior HR professionals and that have not reached an HR director or a C-suite level. So I'm going to unpack you how I did it. So what was important for me when I got into corporate, the first thing was associations and sponsors. It's important that one have, or you sort of find yourself sponsors and coaches or mentors that are going to be assigned to you and that are going to help you navigate the corporate space better. I was fortunate to land in the hands of Phumeza Pepeta. She's since passed away about 2 years ago. May her soul rest in peace. She's the person that received me in corporate as my HR manager. I remember being frustrated and being angry at her to say to her, why am I doing administration work? This is not what I learned. You must take me to the CCMA. I need to be dealing with intense labor matters. I need to be dealing with people. I need to be dealing with performance management systems, etc. But she really took me back to say that whatever it is that I've learned in corporate was a base of actually getting me in corporate. And she guided me to say that I must be grateful of the humble beginnings and the experience that I'm learning along the way. And it does not necessarily take the practical or rather the theoretical part in order for me to become a manager or to thrive in a corporate space. It takes a lot than just coming in corporate with your degree. So that realization, and I guess today I can say it was my aha moment to say that I need to start at the bottom. And if I can share you my journey of starting at the bottom, I started printing, documents in the HR department. I started doing the bare minimum and the basic administration of human resources. I mean, I never used to even interact with the HR director at the time. The only person I would interact with was my direct report and my direct manager, who was Phumeza Pepeta at the time. So she really taught me values and appreciating the fact that it starts being small and I have to earn the experience, and my colleagues and my fellow, employees in corporate needs to trust me in order for me to climb the corporate ladder. So association is important. And I know a lot of people have been had these questions around sponsorship, mentors, and as well as coaches. And I can safely say to you, throughout my career journey in corporate of about 11 years, I've never really had a structured or a contract-based sponsor or a contract-based mentor or coach. All my sponsors and mentors came in a form of the relationship that I had formed in corporate. So my relationships and my sponsors were really not a structured format where there is a contract in place and I need to meet someone on a monthly basis. We need to talk about my weaknesses. We need to talk about what I do. But what I appreciated was the fact that they were my blind spot. So I'm not sure if all of you or most of you are familiar with the Johari window when it comes to self-awareness, where it talks about elements that you know and elements that you don't know, but your audience or the people that you interact with know. And then also there's elements still in the Johari window where it talks about elements that you don't know of yourself and that other people don't know of yourself. So it's very important to be open-minded when you go into corporate and you don't go with an idea that your qualification will get you promoted. In fact, I've learned in corporate that your IQ gets you your foot at the door, but your EQ gets you promoted. But I'm going to unpack to you what does that mean in terms of practical sense of EQ getting you promoted. So another thing which is important when I climbed the corporate ladder was really to identify my values. Values are important, like I've indicated in the previous episode where I spoke about the values that have shaped me. So those are the values that actually carried me in corporate. So identifying and living your values is important. This will eliminate a lot of a misalignment between your values and that of the corporate values. So it's important for you to really identify your values. What is it that you stand for? What is it that you live by? And what is the organization standing for? This will actually, bring in a really seamless marriage between you and your employer, which we now call an employment relationship. So those values are important. And it does not necessarily mean that when you get to corporate, you have to bend down your values. So what is important is for you to strip down your worldview. So worldview is shaped by how you grew up, your background, how you react and how you show up with your emotions and how you were socialized. So those are the elements that you can strip down. But unfortunately, you cannot strip down your values. The values are your bark. You know, when you, as an example of a tree will have a bark and then will have, the leaves, etc. So what you can strip down when you go to corporate in order for you to be open-minded and to receiving feedback and for you to be able to learn and be fluid when it comes to climbing the corporate ladder is for you to really take down the leaves, but your bark remains the same. And the bark is the thing that makes the tree stand firm on the ground. And whether there are storms that are coming, but it's not shaken. So those are then your values. So if you identify your values and if you live by your values, you are not, persuaded or when winds, comes in to sway you left and right. You are not easily swayed. So that is important. And then also after identify your values, you must know what is the value proposition. Your value proposition, what is it that you bring to the table? I often say that there are a lot of HR professionals in my example, but what is it that I bring to the table that's different from the other HR professional? What is it that I do that is outside what other HR professionals are doing? What is it that's unique that I'm putting on the table? What is it that's different that organization can pay me while I'm sleeping, but they can still pay me because they can realize the value? So that's important, defining your value proposition. And value proposition, we often take it for granted. But value proposition is a thing that's going to carry you throughout in corporate. Because once you lose your value proposition and your goals and visions of what it is that you want to achieve in corporate, it's going to be very difficult for you to navigate the corporate ladder. And also there's a saying that I often say, when we talk about climbing the corporate ladder, climbing the corporate ladder is a metaphor in terms of the physical steps that we climb. And when you look at a ladder, you can see, or the stairs, you can see that there's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And all those steps are in an organic, flowing, orderly manner. So please do tune in to our podcast, which will be available in various platforms.